I heard they're retiring you? So unfair.
The Boys has taken the superhero genre and turned it on its head. Based on the comic book series of the same name, created by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, the hit Prime Video series depicts its heroes as sinister supes who will stop at nothing to get their way. While the series takes most of its depictions and stories from the comics, there are a few key changes the showrunners felt necessary to make. Let's take a look at some of these differences and how they've changed the landscape of Ennis's original narrative. The famous flight incident, where Homelander and a reluctant Queen Maeve abandon all the passengers as a plane crashes into the ocean, had very different origins. The comics version of events involved the September 11th attacks. The on-screen telling of the story serves to show how Homelander is not much of a hero at all. The original storyline also wouldn't really have fit with the timeline of the series, which is set nearer to the present day. The series makes a big deal of Ryan being the only natural-born supe. However, this isn't the case in the comics. Due to his mother's work in a factory contaminated with Compound V, Mother's Milk is born with powers. He doesn't have many powers, and perhaps that's why he isn't really considered much of a supe. Chase Crawford is captivating as the Deep, but if the series had stuck to the comics, we would have hardly seen his face at all. That's because the original incarnation of the character was cursed and always had to wear a helmet. He was also a very minor character, hardly featuring in storylines and making little difference to the overall narrative. Kimiko, as she's known in the live-action series, is the only member of the Boys who has permanent powers, but the origins of these differ in the two versions. On screen, we learn that she was taken as a child soldier into a terrorist organization where she was given Compound V as part of Vought's plan to create supervillains across the world. In the comics, she ate some V as a young child, which gave her the powers she has, including her regeneration abilities. Season 2 of The Boys developed Stormfront and enlightened the audience to her Nazi allegiances. Her origins and powers in the comics are pretty similar, but that's about where the likeness stops. First and foremost, Stormfront is a man in the original telling of The Boys. Stormfront's Nazi allegiances created in the comics were clearly a perfect starting point for the show to add a new villain, but they have taken a lot of creative license with the character and adapted her to further the dimensions of Homelander's arc.